It's true. We're live here with Coffee with Humans with my new friend, Kaci. Welcome, Kaci, to Coffee with Humans.
Hey, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Well, welcome. This is exciting for me to have you here because I know we're going to be talking about an interesting topic of social media and doing your own research. And I know that we're going to be talking about this topic because when you signed up, you entered a handful of details just to kind of give me just a tiny little bit to go off of, because Coffee with Humans is all about just meeting a stranger and then through the course of a half hour, 45-minute conversation, learning all about each other and becoming friends. So that's it's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
It's Friday.
Oh,
It's
that's
Friday.
true. That means something different to everybody, I think. But
that is true. Yeah, I've been there where I had to work on the weekends too. So it's just like, oh, it's another day. Like, congratulations.
right.
But
So I'm
yeah.
curious. Why did you choose to click the button to have coffee with me?
I was actually recommended to do it by one of my good friends. Yep. Frank Sinclair is actually our business coach here in Colorado. And he was like, I think he had shared one of your podcast videos and I liked it because I listened to it and I was like, well, this is interesting. Like, I like podcasts. Don't really know a whole lot about them, but I'd like to do a little bit more research into them. And I liked it. And he's like, oh my gosh, I want you to get in contact with him. I think you'd be a great person to go on and do this. I'm like, okay, why not?
Yeah.
We'll give it a shot. Seems like fun. I like coffee. I like people and I like making friends. So
Exciting. Well, like Frank is right. You're going to have a great time. Because I do know something. Like in a lot of social situations, there's always that one person that's like, if you get along with that one person, you get along with all the other people in their network. And Frank's one of those people that if you get along with Frank, you get along with everybody else in the network, and that's good stuff. So you're in Colorado, is that what I'm gathering then?
Yes. Yep, okay. I am in Colorado Springs.
Oh, what a nice,
so pretty.
What a nice area.
So pretty. So cold right now, though, unfortunately.
Really? Oh. I don't follow the weather in Colorado.
Where are you at?
I'm in Illinois.
Oh, nice.
Northern Illinois.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's thinking about, this is the weird time of Illinois weather, Northern Illinois weather at least, where like in a week it's going to be almost 70, but like tomorrow it's going to be 27. Like what? I don't get it. I'm not a meteorologist. I only play one on TV, but I don't know why these things happen. Something about wind and
current trends, global warming.
Yeah, but it kind of gets into what you wanted to talk about, which was what you hear on social media, and whether you should believe it or not. But so what is it that you do out in Colorado Springs if Frank's your business coach?
So I work with Homewell. It's Lazy Friday, so forgive me. So we're a non-medical home care agency. So we go out and about in the community and try and educate people on why aging in place from the comfort of their own home is a better option than an assisted living facility, independent living, nursing home, if that's not quite the right fit for them just yet. Maybe they're deteriorating a little bit, having trouble walking or driving, and they just need a little extra help. We can come in and be that first step before they have to basically uproot their life and move into an assisted living facility where they don't know anyone, they don't know the furniture, they don't have memories there, they don't have friends there. It's just a really big stress on people. So we're trying to change that here in the community.
That's a great service. I think I've watched a handful of family members and then people that, family members of people that I know, when they make that transition, what a hard transition it is to go from, the home that a lot of these people have lived in for, 30, 40 years. And then all of a sudden you're in a facility where, it's like, it's a neat hotel. Like from a hotel standpoint, if I was like to stay at one, I'd be like, that's a neat hotel.
Yeah.
But what a drastic change. And I think what mentally, what the mental, almost like resignation or decision would have to be to be like, okay, this is my life now. I'm gonna move over here away from all my stuff and like you say, all those memories.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if you've ever just moved houses before, that's a difficult change because you've got to pack everything, figure out where it's going to go in the new place. So imagine packing all of your stuff to simply downsize to what you literally need, and that's it. You don't have a lot of space to take little trinkets with you, or you have to figure out which of your possessions that you like are going to go to which kid, and who's going to come visit you when, and calls and visits. And especially with COVID and people not being able to get into the assisted living facilities, it's
Yeah.
been extremely stressful. You just haven't been able to see them for about a year, which has been extremely detrimental to everyone.
Yeah. The isolation rather is
Yeah.
such I don't know, such a stressor, I think, on people. Even I mean, healthy people who have all their faculties and their bodies can cope and their brains can cope and stuff. Social isolation is a major factor in depression and leading up to things like suicide. And I can only imagine, as an older person, to be then uprooted, it seems, out of the life that you've known for so long, and then put into a facility, and then become isolated from there. Like I can't even process. It's got to be awful.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing a good service. How did you get into that?
I really have a soft spot for our elderly population. I personally watched both of my grandparents go through assisted living facilities that weren't great. They were by no means the worst that you ever heard abuse stories or horror stories out of, but like the one my grandmother was in, she was supposed to have PT twice a week. She was lucky if she got it once a month because they were so short staffed, or they were not consistent. There wasn't a lot of accountability to be had in the staff there. But I was also at a young enough age that I didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't have the capabilities to do anything about it. So when this came open and I saw it, because I wasn't really happy where I was before, I was like, this would be a really good chance for me to kind of start advocating and start trying to make a difference with someone, even though I don't have the chance to do it for my grandparents anymore. So,
Right. No, that's a good, I think, a good observation. That gets actually into one of the things you want to talk about, which is this idea of believing what you hear on social media. Because, like you say, particularly in your industry, there are these horror stories, which are the standouts, I think, from the extremes, perhaps, of what people generally experience. And yet, there's truth in that micro instance, and there's kind of maybe a truth or a trend at large. What's the deal with social media, and why do you care about doing research on social media?
it's a really frustrating but sensitive topic. I think it first got bad and I could really notice that it was dividing people with the recent election, of course, which is always a difficult time for friends and family because like religion and politics are two subjects you just don't really talk about with people because it can get so heated so quick. And I mean, you're never going to agree with everyone on every topic. It's ridiculous. So with people relying on that so heavily, especially through COVID, that's basically where we got left when they shut down the outside world and told us we couldn't go anywhere. To see that explode and to see people start arguing and belittling and just going out of their way to be a rude person, it's frustrating because you've got, Democrats versus Republicans, vaxxers versus anti-vaxxers. It's just, it goes on, but you never really see people that can get on there and have I don't want to say intelligent conversation, like I'm demeaning them, that they're not intelligent people, but you don't see a lot of conversations happening about, well, why is this your viewpoint, or why do you have a different opinion from me? You have a lot of just immediate attacking. You're dumb, you're stupid, you don't understand what you're talking about, that's not true, that's not true. It's really frustrating, because you have, like, CBS will put out one story, Forbes will put out a different version, Time magazine will put out a different version. If you start to read through all of them, you can kind of get a big picture of what happened from both perspectives of the story, or all sides of the story, depending on what it's about and who's involved. But the cool thing that I found, that my husband actually introduced me to, is the media bias chart. So it breaks down neutral, skews, hyperpartisan, and most extreme, goes to liberal, goes to conservative. At the very top, you have original fact reporting, all the way down to contained inaccurate or even fabricated information. So it's the people, or the news stations and media sources down there, are blatantly lying to you, is what's been found. And then the people at the very top are the ones that are reporting strictly facts. There's no opinion, there's no guessing, there's no, we think this happened. Those news sources, you normally don't see them post immediately after something happens, because you're not going to have all the facts immediately after something happens. It's going to take time to research who was involved, why they were involved, what led them to this particular event.
I found
So
that
it's just,
chart here. Let me pull it up here.
oh yeah, yep.
And I know it's probably not the best picture of it here. Let me see if I can clean that
And
up.
it's kind of small, yeah, but
Maybe.
not bad.
Okay. It is what it is. So that's
Yeah.
the media bias chart, and I had never heard of this either. Which, I'm a consumer of all interesting things.
Same.
And yeah, it's just really interesting to see this, because we do. It's kind of well known that certain media outlets move a certain direction in terms of conservatism or liberalism, or however you want to phrase that. And I think even that is changing.
Yeah.
That's changed through the years too.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that the chart goes from most extreme left to most extreme right. And then at the bottom of it, it looks like it contains inaccurate or fabricated info, up to original fact reporting. And so they've got like Reuters or AP right at the top, original fact reporting, and in the middle, probably because like a Reuters or an AP, they are, there's not necessarily skin in the game to report one direction or another. It's not like they're not running news for necessary eyeballs, on the nightly TV or something like that. And isn't that sort of a troublesome aspect of news reporting, is that it's run on advertising, and it's actually run on behavior change, right? So the whole point of an advertiser is that somehow they're going to change, the viewer behavior.
Yep.
And so they need to get more people to watch more stuff to change more behavior. And so this idea of sensationalism, or crafting your message to the audience that you want to get advertisers for, that it becomes this cycle, I think, where I'll throw it out there. Biden tripped up the steps recently, going to Air Force One. It was like all over Fox News for a little bit. And
yeah, they did not wait.
And they didn't. They pounced on that. And I can so from a certain aspect or certain direction, people want to know, or people want to be assured. There's one, let's say, group of people who want to be assured that yes, Biden's very old, and is he too old to be president? And did we actually elect Kamala? There's that camp, right? And so you want to pounce on the fact that he, tripped up the steps. And then other people are saying, well, yep, but it was windy out and all this other stuff, and he was up. And it's like, okay, right about that same time, I stubbed my toe into a wall in my house that has not moved. The wall has been there since
Right.
I've been there.
I mean, how many times have we, stubbed our toe on the coffee table that's been there for 10 years? How many times have we tripped going up the stairs because we have new shoes on?
Yeah.
I mean, I have some shoes now that have a little bit of a platform, and I have realized when I wear those shoes, I don't pick my feet up very far because I constantly trip over those shoes. I've been walking for 27 years. I know how to walk, but it's a change in environment. He might have just walked up the stairs too fast. Who cares?
Right.
Is he okay after he fell?
We do have those other things where I think this idea that if you say it enough, people believe it. Because we are to some degree programmed to simply hand over the keys to somebody else and say, well, you take care of it. And so whoever says, I got it, oh, you got it. And we do that in politics a lot too, right? We assign ourselves to a camp and then we hand over the keys and say, okay, well, we hired them to figure it out. So, I think they're figuring it out. And we don't do research. And I've admittedly not done research on a lot of different topics. And I've trained myself to just stay out of this conversation then. I don't actually have all the facts. I don't actually know the people. I don't know them personally. So why would I attack their character? I don't know their character. And then sometimes there are facts that come out, right? And you're like, ugh, that's suspect. Does that mean there's something else going on? I don't know. What do you do with it then? Because we're programmed to make snap judgments to make it through the day. And yet snap judgments lead us down this path of not doing research and coming up with incorrect information or believing incorrect information.
It carries over way too easy because it is too easy to just accept what your trusted source of news has always told you. I mean, Fox, CNN, NBS, ABC, they've been around forever. They've been the trusted news sources in the United States since they've been started. But I think a lot of people don't realize that today there's like one person that owns 6 out of the 10 big news corporations in the United States. So it's not a lot of diversity. It's not a lot of incentive to diversify their information or their fact finding, their research, their stories, anything like that, because they have such a big grasp already on such a large amount of the population. Why would they?
Yeah.
What do they have to gain?
I watched a movie kind of along these lines just the other day on it's called Seaspiracy, SEA-spiracy, on Netflix. And it kind of piggybacks off of a movie that I saw long time ago called End of the Line. Okay. And the whole point of Seaspiracy, it starts off, and whether it was planned this way or wasn't, I don't know. But the idea is that this guy goes off to make a video or a documentary about all the plastic that's in the ocean and how we should stop using plastic. And then he finds out actually that the majority of the plastic that's in, let's say, the great plastic island in which arguably does or does not exist, depending on who you ask, is actually fishing related. It's a lot of fishing nets. Mm-hmm. And this idea that all these poor sea creatures are dying because of plastic in the ocean is actually put out by a handful of not-for-profit organizations. Well, as this guy unfolds, and I recommend people watch this movie, just if nothing else for the interest level that may, do your research, right?
Yeah.
As he watches this, or as he starts filming this, he comes to actually find out that no, the vast majority of fish are dying from overfishing. And and the vast majority of fish that are called bycatch. So let's say you were going after sardines. Bycatch are dolphins and sea turtles and all this other stuff.
Yeah. Things that kind of get stuck in.
Yeah, exactly. In some cases, there is sometimes an overwhelming percentage of the total catch is bycatch, and a lot of those animals die in the fishing nets and get tossed overboard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as he starts to, so then he goes down the sustainable fishing and sustainable fishing thing, and as that starts unfolding, you listen to folks who have no skin in the game of fishing, the industry of fishing, right? And they say there's no such thing as sustainable fishing. Not right now, because the population decline from the 1970s when it started getting tracked to today is 80 to 90+% of those species are So what used to be 100% now, we're seeing 90% less of those species available because they're just getting scooped up by these massive fishing nets and massive fishing lines. After which, there's going to be no fish left, and by some estimates, there won't be enough fish left in the ocean by 2050.
Yeah.
However, then this is the interesting thing. The people who say, well, it's actually a plastic problem are those news reports are put out by not-for-profits that are actually funded by there's one called Earth Initiative or something like that also owns the branding for sustainable dolphin fishing stuff. Which so if you look at sustainable tuna rather. So if you look at your tuna cans, tuna logo, that tuna logo, the brand that says, "Hey, this is sustainable fishing," is also that same group. That group actually is or was at one point in time funded by Unilever who makes who sells tuna. And so they went and this videographer went and talked to the guy who is the director of this initiative. He says, what does sustainable mean? And he's like, well, we can keep on doing it. What's the percentage? There's no calculation for that. How do you know that there's no dolphins caught in there because it's a dolphin safe logo? Well, there's no way to measure that. So wait a second, you're putting a dolphin safe logo on a can, but you don't actually know that no dolphins are caught? No, we don't know that. But what happens in the ocean happens in the ocean. And there's this dolphin safe logo as though there's no dolphins caught. And so anyhow, he follows this whole thing, and it turns out that there's a whole mafia type thing behind fishing, and some organizations send out people to watch on ships and stuff like that, and there are over the past number of years or whatever, there have been something like 11 of these guys have gone missing. One person who was a whistleblower was shot in her home. It's this huge thing. They went to a particular area of the world, and were followed by the cops. They were told, you're going to get followed by the cops, and they will be. And so they've got the cops are on video outside the door because they were going to film this dolphin hunt.
Yeah,
the dolphins are all rounded up and killed. And it's under the guise of they catch these dolphins to send them to basically water parks around the world or something like that. The whole like, hey, dolphins are. That's the party line, but in fact, they kill them all and they eat them. It's like, it's a huge thing. And basically he makes the case at the end of this thing that if plastics are doing this much damage, overfishing and catching things that you shouldn't be catching and killing them is like doing this much damage, and no one will talk about it. No one will talk about it because there's no industry, there's no money available to say stop eating stop eating fish. There's no stop eating fish industry. There is a eat fish industry. And so therefore you're going to get that message out there. It'll be So they just distract it. Smoke and mirrors, it's probably plastic's problem. You should not have straws because they kill so many sea turtles.
Plastics are an issue, but they are not by far the biggest issue. And unfortunately, the biggest issue is hidden by bribes, threats, scandals, mafia style organizations. They're going to create a problem, create the solution, continue the problem while their solution is in effect, and reap all of the benefits from both.
Yeah.
So,
and
I
think it's a good principle is just follow the money.
Exactly. I mean, we've seen the same issue with Great Barrier Reefs. We've seen this issue with sharks. We've seen this politically with the running joke of
you can say it. It's okay.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't know how far I can go.
We're just talking. We're having coffee, and the world is invited to our coffee chat.
Okay, so if you don't like this, I'm sorry, but
so we can't take it down.
It's the same situation that people had a running joke with Epstein, that he didn't kill himself kind of thing. It's the same. We're going to create this issue. We're going to fix this issue. And then you're never going to know about it because we're going to handle it before you know. And by the time you do know, there's going to be so much money and political backing to it. It's going to be nothing the little guy can do about it.
Yeah.
So you see it in every industry.
You can create a lot of noise by just going on to the next thing. Absolutely. Yeah. And to your point, you take something that's like, wow, I don't have all the facts on that, but geez, that just looks so suspect. And by the time people start talking about it, it's like, oh, actually, here's the thing you should be paying attention to. Yeah. And there's money behind that. I mean, there's an easy way to cover up to the plastics thing. There's an easy way to cover up that it's actually, we're overfishing the planet, and every scientist will tell you so. And yet we can cover it up with, you know what? Stop using plastic. Damn the plastic, people. Yeah. And the general consumer who's just watching the news and believing whatever's coming in because they put their trust in these news sources and they trust in the social media or their trust in their friends on social media are ignorant to that. And we are all ignorant at some point in time. And I don't know, we are already wrong in some way to some degree, each one of us at any point in time about something we really care about too. Yep. That's the thing. Just because I care about it or believe strongly in it does not make it true.
Yep. I used to kind of be the same way where I was like, if I don't know about it or if it doesn't concern me or affect me directly, I don't really care to know about it because, again, it's so many different stories and viewpoints and events. It's like I can't keep up with all of this. And it wasn't until I started seeing more of it, and then I told my husband that, unfortunately, and he's like, how can you not want to be updated on what's happening around you? I'm like, that's a really good point because I am very much a science-driven person. I like facts. I like evidence. I'm not going to base anything off of opinion or hearsay. I want to see like hard evidence behind it first. And I've just been blatantly ignoring stories, research, things like that, because I was like, well, this is really difficult. This is really confusing. I don't know who to believe or who to trust. What's a good source to turn to? Like, is there that one consistent source that I can always go to count on? It's not as easy as it was when I was in college and I had access to all the, oh my gosh, what was it, like JCO and all the like research sites where I could just type in and pull up 20 different articles on a certain subject. Can't really do that as an adult. You don't have access to that unless you're working as a scientist, and most people aren't. So that's when he introduced me to the bias chart, and I absolutely love it because I will now go to like AP, Bloomberg, sometimes ABC, CBS, and what is that one, NBC. Just if I go to more sources and get more information, I'm more likely to have a bigger picture of everything because I'm like, okay, well, this person said this here, and then they said this here, but then this fact came from this source. So
Yeah.
it's just picking and choosing.
Just real briefly before we went live, and to be clear, we met not even an hour ago. And we've met 30, almost 40 minutes ago. So we don't even know each other really, which I think is fantastic because, that's the number one, that's the essence of Coffee with Humans, that strangers become friends in just this little microcosm of our lives. And I think good things can come of that. And then I think another important thing that we're also demonstrating here is that, I have a background, I have belief systems, and we can add it to, I think there's a book that's, I think the book is called Crucial Conversations. We can add our input into the pool of shared meaning, is what he calls it. And it's that pool of shared meaning which gives us this ability to siphon through and come to agreement. And that's where I think one of the great lessons of social media can be learned is that we too often we come at it with like the bat the bat of my belief, right? Instead of the pool of shared being, it's the bat of my belief, and I was like, yeah, but bang, right?
Yeah.
And I hit you with my belief in order to change you, to show you how wrong you are, to make sure I get my point across, instead of, when we were kids and we were all at the community pool and you jump in, with all of these people, all these strangers, and you're like, this is a weird soup, and sometimes a turd goes floating by and you're like, oh, everybody out of the pool.
You ruined the soup. Yeah. Yeah, there's always that one turd that floats through the comment section. You're like, that was unnecessary.
Right? Yeah. But I think there's got to be this background or idea that we need to be able to respect each other's beliefs. And I think one of those elements, and it was demonstrated to me earlier today here, one of those elements is to understand what you believe so much that I can articulate it. And if I can't articulate what you believe, then I really shouldn't be disagreeing with it just yet. I certainly shouldn't be causing that to become this divisive thing where suddenly you're a bad person and I'm a good person. That's not that can't possibly be so simple. And so where do you stand on this idea particularly in social media, since you wanted to talk about social media?
I mean, you worded it beautifully. It's just people coming across so fast and so hard with, this is what's right, this is what I believe, so this is what you have to believe, and screw you if you don't believe the same thing I do because you're wrong or you're against me or you're a bad person. It stems from so many different things too that it's going to be difficult for us as a society to kind of get out of this, because it's about environment, exposure, intellectual level, socioeconomic status. It's the environment you were raised in plays a huge part, and the environment that you're in as a young adult plays a huge part. It's extremely difficult for people to get out of their beliefs that they've held on to for 50, 60 plus years or even their whole lives. So it's cultural acceptance, I think, is what we really need to focus on. We're seeing so much division with cultures, and it kind of all started, I think, with 9/11. Unfortunately, we got into the stereotype of, well, all Middle Eastern people are bad. We don't want them here. We're not going to take refugees. We're not going to help you. We're going to go start a war with you instead. And then recently, we're seeing a lot of hate towards the Asian community for COVID, which, again, is unwarranted. Sure, it started over there. It originated over there. No one really has a solid answer on why, how, or where yet. But that's not anyone's fault because they have Asian heritage. I mean, that's insane to me that you're going to judge someone simply off of what they look like. You have no idea how much in common you could have with everyone else around you from different cultures. We don't realize how much in common we have cross culturally because we're too busy telling each other why we're all wrong and we're all right. So it's, yeah, just acceptance. If we could listen to learn instead of listen to argue, I think that would help a lot. I mean, this election's not going to be the end of the world. COVID's not going to be the end of the world. We're going to face worse things down the road. We just need to learn how to handle them together. It shouldn't be that hard.
Well, that's true. I mean, we are all in this life together, and whether it is overfishing the oceans to the point where, you know, every scientist will tell you as well that, you know, people cannot live on a planet with no ocean.
No.
The ocean must be full of life. There's an interesting thing about how 90% of carbon, I think it could be wrong on this number, but something like 90% of carbon in terms of carbon sequestering. The rainforest can absorb about 10% of that, and the oceans absorb about 90% of that. And yet, if you start taking out some of these species, you end up with an ocean that cannot actually clean out the amount of carbon that is produced for our population, even much less all the other things that we're doing to it, and population overgrowth. I mean, it was interesting. I saw this chart some time ago, maybe 2 years ago now, about the greenhouse gas emissions, and it charts directly with population growth, and it's actually, you know, the amount of greenhouse gases that are created simply because there are more people on the planet vastly outnumber the amount of greenhouse gases that are created by all the stuff that we've used, and yet, and a lot of that could have been taken, and it also can chart also, you know, it's you know, leave it to the people who know numbers and study this stuff, but it also charts with, you know, our destruction of the environment simply because of the way we consume, but it seems like a heresy almost to say, listen, people, we should all change our consumption patterns. Like, you need to stop eating fish because the fish need to rebound. That's just what has to happen.
Yeah.
You won't find that. You absolutely will not find that. Okay, so, well, we're on track to depleting the oceans. Good job.
Yeah.
You did it.
Congratulations. Now where do we go? Because we're nowhere near ready to go to the moon or Mars yet. So we should probably slow it down a little bit.
Although, hey, I don't know if you watched any of the SpaceX stuff, but they're launching their SN11 today.
Was that the helicopter?
Serial number 11. So NASA's got the helicopter on Mars. SpaceX has been launching this thing called Starship from Boca Chica, Texas. And Starship is this massive rocket designed to take off vertically, land vertically, and take people eventually. The idea is to take them anywhere on the planet within about half an hour. And so you'll go out to the Starship, 100 people sit in this nose cone thing, it blasts off, takes you to Australia, lands vertically, everybody gets off. And then it will go on this other massive booster, which will take people to Mars, or the idea is to, you know, other planets in the future. But they've been testing this thing, and they're going to have a test of that later today.
That's exciting. I didn't know that.
It is exciting.
Find it.
Well, hey, are you good at drawing?
No.
Okay, good. You're perfect for this game. Do you want to play a game? We got a couple minutes left. Do you want to play a game with me?
I like games.
Okay, I like games too. So I'm gonna start. Oops, where are we at? Hold on. I gotta click a button here. so I can speak about this intelligently. Boom. Okay. We're going to play the Whatchamadraw game. Here's
How many
this
sheets of paper do I need?
It depends how big you draw. Here's how this is going to work. I'm going to put up a phrase on the screen. So this is just an example. Don't draw this one. This is a phrase. Draw a frog sitting in a canoe headed for a waterfall. And then you'll have 1 minute to draw that, after which we will vote between you and me on any of our viewers or listeners want to. Oh, stop it. If viewers and listeners want to drop in. Oh, no. No. Oh,
Are we out of time? Do we start?
No, don't. I clicked the wrong button. Oh, my gosh. I'm fired.
I don't remember it, so we're good.
Okay, neither do I. I was like, oh, no. All right, so that's how it's going to work. You ready for our first one?
I am ready.
Okay, here we go. Draw a tree made of burritos, tacos, hot dogs, hamburgers, and pizza.
What?
You have 1 minute.
Oh my gosh, hamburgers, hot dogs. This is going to be a really weird land tree.
Oh, yeah. I'm curious what kind of pizza you're going to get there. Tree burritos, tacos, hamburgers, hot dogs, and pizza. Oh, boy. You have 30 seconds. 30.
Okay.
Okay. Burritos, tacos. Ugh.
I feel like this should be a drinking game.
Oh my gosh, you're totally right. I'm curious to know how you do that. We could talk
Can you imagine how bad these would look?
I'm not certain. I am not certain if I completed this properly.
I don't have burritos or hot dogs.
Oh, well then you lose. No, I actually don't have hamburger and tacos. Okay, so almost. I'll go first since I asked you to play.
Okay.
This is my tree made of burritos, tacos, hot dogs, hamburgers, and pizza. So this is the pizza trunk.
Uh-huh.
And then the little circular dudes.
Mm-hmm.
The fronds, those are burrito fronds. And then hot dogs hang like the burrito fronds.
Nice.
I don't have I missed out on tacos and hamburgers.
Yeah, I don't have burritos or hot dogs.
Let me see your drawing. Bring it.
Oh, I have the taco is the trunk, the burgers at the top, and then there's supposed to be like little pizza leaves.
Taco trunk. I love it.
And I couldn't figure out where to do like hot dogs and burritos. Those could have been like little leaves.
I gotta give you
like
that.
Fell off the ground already.
I gotta give you that because I can actually see that as a taco. I can see it's a hamburger. Mine are just scribbles. these little etchings, like caveman etchings. People look back at this drawing. I'm gonna put it in a time capsule and keep it in. I'm gonna put out front. Just call it time capsule, and then they can open 100 years from now and look at it and be like, "What the hell is that?"
I've often wondered like what time capsules are gonna look like in the future. Like if we could open one 100 years from now.
Right? Oh, you're so good. All right, you ready for a second one?
Yes.
Who do you think won that one? I should ask you.
I mean, we were both missing pieces.
Okay, I'm voting for you.
Aw. I do like that mine was a little bigger and you could see what it was.
Exactly. That's fair. That's okay. That's fine. I'm not offended. All right. Here's our second one. Maybe I'll take you on this one. Draw an ice cream cone sitting on top of a bike, playing the.
Ice cream cones don't have hands.
I didn't make the rules. Draw an ice cream cone sitting on top of a bike, playing a trumpet. I have to think about this. Oh, shoot. That's not right.
30 seconds.
I'm really bad at this. You'd think I'd be better for as many times I've drawn something on this show. Clearly, this is not going to be one of my strengths. Ice cream cone sitting on top of a bike playing the trumpet.
10 seconds.
I don't think this is a bike. This doesn't look like a bike.
One.
Oh my god. This was terrible. All right, you got to go first this time. An ice cream cone sitting on top of a bike playing a trumpet. Oh, hold on. Where'd you go? There you go.
So I had a really weird bike.
Oh, you said you weren't a good drawer.
Not a good drawer.
That's bull. That is bull. You are a good drawer because, or maybe I'm just a remarkably bad drawer.
Yours looks like a better bike. It is very tiny though. It's very tiny. I can see the trumpet. I can see the little ice cream cone.
You cannot see an ice cream. If you didn't know that was an ice cream cone, you'd be like, "What is that?"
Yeah, if I didn't know, I wouldn't know what that was.
It's so bad. It's so bad. I've done this so many times too. Oh my gosh. You'd think I don't know. I'm just really my brain just I can't. Ugh.
Yeah, that's a
Get it out.
difficult thing to picture because you're like, okay, I know what they are, but you're asking me to put them together in a way that is not right.
Exactly. That's exactly right. All right, here we go. Third and final one. Actually, so I have to vote for you on that one too. I just
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm actually not trying to do poorly either, just to get that out of the way. It's not like I'm trying to throw the game.
Is this a game you found or you made?
No, somebody sent it to me for Christmas called Whatchamadraw It. It's a really great game. They don't even sponsor me. They should, but it's a really fun game. And I agree with you. It'd be a drinking game. It'd be a fun drinking game. I'm going to try that.
That would be good.
I also got to come out to Colorado Springs. I know a handful of people there, including Frank.
You should.
Now I know you.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
I'll have to get like a real coffee.
Yes. Draw an animal with an alligator head, a pig body, and monkey feet.
Like, where do you even start with that?
Either the alligator head, the pig body, or the monkey feet.
I don't know what monkey feet look like.
Okay. Monkey feet look like monkey hands.
It's just like regular hands and feet, right?
Does that help?
30 seconds.
They look like human feet, only hairier. And weirdly looking fingernails. You wouldn't want monkey fingernails, I can tell you that.
Ten seconds.
Looks like something that like crawled out of a lab.
2, 1.
Okay, I don't even know why I do this. What am I doing here? It's crazy.
Oh man.
All right. Here we go. An animal with an alligator head, a pig body, and monkey feet.
That looks good.
Yes, I think.
I
Maybe.
can see that. I like the curly Q for the tail, alligator head. Those look like hands.
It's not awful. It's not awful. I don't know if I would know that's a pig body. I think it might just be a balloon or a hippopotamus.
Yeah, mine looks the same. It's like a big round thing. There's weird little feet.
He looks like happy. He's got a nose. Like he's like do. He's like strolling down the street. He's like, oh no, You even have the little nostrils for the alligator. That was a classy move.
Oh, I didn't know what else it would look like if I didn't.
I feel like yours is, yeah. I think it's there are no ties on this, unfortunately. There's no way. Somebody's got to win, but I'm going to vote for myself on that last one.
I'm going to vote for yours on the last one too, just because your feet looked a lot better. They had paws.
My feet looked better. Really? Those looked better?
Those looked better than, that's not monkey feet, right? That's like dog feet.
Oh, that's true.
Like little paws.
That's true. You're like dog. You're the classic dog line art feet.
Yeah.
Well, we did it. We made it through. We made it through Whatchamadraut. So how if you had to make that a drinking game, how would you have done it?
I mean, the easiest way would be like whoever loses has to do a shot. If you got like a big group of people together, it might take a little longer than like a normal drinking game, but whoever has the worst drawing takes a shot. Maybe.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
That could work. Or the best, and then you'd see the worst slowly become the best.
That's true. Yeah, you could do it that way. Yeah, sabotage the winners.
Yep.
Well, I'm with you on this. This could be fun. Well, this has been a great discussion. I appreciate you joining me and bringing particularly to mind this mediabiaschart.com. I think that's a really great way of researching the media to understand, where do people fall, or where do these media outlets fall in their reporting. And I think I don't know, one of my takeaways from this conversation was that we should, look beyond, at least consider looking beyond just that facade of what we hear and be willing to do our own research. What was something that you took away from today?
That I really like doing podcasts. This was fun. Yeah, this was fun.
Good.
This was so much fun.
I love it too. And I truthfully, man, I thank you so much.
Yeah.
For coming on the Coffee with Humans. It's wonderful to get to know you. And I will be out to Colorado Springs, and we will maybe we'll do that Whatchamadraut drinking game.
Yes. We'll have to give it a shot. And there's a really good coffee shop in Pueblo that I want to take you to.
Yes.
Yeah, they do solar roasting. How
From
much fun
that
would
coffee shop?
be? We should.
Yeah.
We should get Frank.
Let's set it up and let's do a live Coffee with Humans broadcast from that coffee shop. So here's my thought on that. I'll just run this by you. I'd love to take the show on the road, to go to a coffee shop, do a quick little intro about the coffee shop so they get some exposure, and that will be the intro, right at the beginning, and then sit down with again, some stranger and or people that have been on the show before, to have a live conversation at a place, to take people not only to conversations that they've won't have, take our viewers and listeners conversations they won't have, but also take them to places around the U.S. and around the world that they simply won't go.
How freaking cool would that be?
Would that be fun?
That would be so much fun.
I think so too.
I
Well,
think you should do it.
Thank you so much for joining us. This has been Coffee with Humans. To all our viewers and listeners, I met Kaci about an hour ago now. We talked about nothing for about 8 minutes, just did some tech checks, and then we have become friends over the past now 56 minutes. It's been great to know you. Thank you so much for joining us. And you click like and subscribe. We'll see you next time on Coffee with Humans.
One of the things I love about Coffee with Humans are the raw conversations I get to have, meeting new people just like you. If you or someone you know should be on Coffee with Humans, go to coffeewithhumans.com. Remember, the only rule is no sales calls.
This has been Coffee with Humans. Subscribe to get updates or click to have coffee with me. coffeewithhumans.com.